programs of bachelor's and 3 doctoral schools. You can discover everything on the site. I put this picture, and the next picture I will run very fast. Here you can see my husband. We are a strong team, and around us there are other colleagues working with us in automatics. And here is Professor Zadek, who was our mentor. Why I put many pictures with him when he visited Arad 4 times? Because tomorrow will be 2 years from his funeral. He died in 6 September 2017, and in 29 September was his funeral in Baku. He visited here Arad first time. It was in 2004. We are in 2011 in Berkeley when Lotfi had 90 years old with Faye, his wife. Here in 2016, when he was 95 years old in Berkeley, some participants in that conference, and 2 years ago in Baku, near his grave. So, I will start in few words to introduce you this methodology that we are using in all our applications. And about this methodology, fuzzy interpolative controllers, that is the class of controllers introduced by us. I had my GIAN course in NIT Silchar, and I proposed to students to use it in any application they had, and during our tutorials they applied, and the results were very, very good. So for highly nonlinear systems, you can use this kind of controller. So few words about this family, some words for introduction. You know about traditional optimization techniques that it was used, and it's conventional automatics. We need to have well-defined structure or configuration, but not always we have this situation to have a deterministic model. So sometimes we, in our problems in the real world, we have to introduce heuristic models. And also, I want to tell you, you know all that we have a lot of type of uncertainties and unprecision in all kinds of process, social, industrial, economic, and so on. So there are different kinds of such uncertainties enumerated there. Fuzzy sets theory introduced by Lotfi Zadek, it's a fundamental tool for representing symbolic and qualitative knowledge into computers. Here are some words to introduce this methodology. We speak first about linear interpolations. We are using, all of us, such interpolation. We can compare interpolative network with the neural network, so interpolative networks are not suited for automatic learning. Neural networks are designed for automatic learning, and also interpolative networks are not hiding information, neural networks are hiding it. We have here a conclusion, so interpolative networks are capable to embed and process knowledge. A fuzzy interpolative controller that we will introduce is a fuzzy controller that can be equal with an interpolative network with linear interpolations. Other derived concepts are fuzzy interpolative expert systems and so on. We will introduce soon this methodology, very useful. We started from some articles. Some good years ago, we introduced this methodology in about 2004, 2006, in that interval. I will tell you also some history after a few slides. So using again Morgan Stoll and Don Klopsin Morgan and Laurent Foulois, there are these three important genophasy controllers can be approximate any finite n-dimensional function with arbitrary precision. Here it's a figure you can organize such approximation of this curve. With Borel, such triangles, or with less. So the precision is different. For the second article, the linguistic design method through which any given transfer characteristic may be approximated by means of controllers. And the last one, we visited sometimes that university of Professor Laurent Foulon, Annecy University, Haute-Savoie, Annecy, qualitative control methods based on the real time offline qualitative analysis of the error phase trajectory. You will see in the next figures this error phase trajectory is very important, and then introducing some heuristic rules, we can very easily develop this controller. So this concept must not be confounded with fuzzy rule interpolation introduced by Professor Pozzi and Hirota, and this is a specific subgeno controllers with some characteristic I wrote there. In closed loop control applications, fuzzy interpolative controllers are matching a fundamental time analyze tool, the phase trajectory of the error associated with qualitative analyze. Here it's this tool. Unfortunately, here it's that phase trajectory of the error, it cannot be seen, but it's the same like here. So having a graphic with the error and the derivative of the error, we are looking that the error is going to 0. Here, it's in this table, we introduce some rules, and it's the same thing. So going to the center of the graphic, where is 0? This is the dream of engineering automatics. 0 error. So we use this tool, the trajectory of the error, then make it tables, and then interpolative networks very well and easy introduced using the MATLAB Simulink. There are some advantage of both linguistic and interpolative nature. You can see upper side is the fuzzy set and logic theory will be applied during the concept and development stages, and B, linear interpolations will ensure the implementation stage. So fuzzy during development, interpolation for implementation. There are some steps here, I will not insist on them, how kind of fuzzy partition will be used, which kind of defuzzification and so on. And introducing the lookup table. Lookup table is a nice tool that you can find on MATLAB Simulink. What is here introduced, this word that Lotfi Zadek introduced during his paper. So it's about world knowledge. We all have, as experts, such world knowledge that we need to put in small pieces in that table, lookup table. So all knowledge that we have about a process or about an element that we want to model, we are using. We need to be good expert. After we introduced this methodology, we were looking to some industrial side that can implement it in a circuit. It was very difficult. I was in many conferences. I proposed especially to people from Japan and Taiwan. They were not interested in these applications to introduce as a specific circuit, but very easy can be organized using FPGA. So with some project of students, diploma thesis, master students, we have this organized on an Altera board. So it's very easy to implement. We have here such implementation for a fuzzy interpolative controller to have it physically, because as soft we have it. As I told you, it's about a family of such controllers. You can see three of them. The first one is the easier quasi-self-adaptive interpolative controller, and the last one, fusion adaptive interpolative. But here, for the but in the middle, this number is different. Here it's 0, -2, +2. All the other numbers are there. So we have the error, the derivative of the error, and we introduce the integral of the error here. The structure of, so we have the input, the output, we have an estimator. Here it's in MATLAB Simulink, this controller developed, and we have the response of a PID and the response of fuzzy adaptive interpolative controller. So the response is fast. Here are other things related to the development of the control rule base. I will not introduce them. You have, the presentation is here, you can observe it. What is important is here, the rules are divided in the 4 categories according to the next operating regime. The regimes, you know, there are stationary, transitory, oscillatory, and unstable. And looking to this, how the phase of the error is going in that plane, we are modeling these rules. So here are some rules. Thinking to transitory is G1, steady is G2, oscillating is G3, and then unstable is G4. Some rules for everyone. Here it's steady, here it's unstable and oscillatory. Looking to the phase of the error and the derivative of the error. We are looking in automatics for this situation. We are far with error, but going to the 0 point where the error is 0. This is important for us. We have here the heuristic adaptive rule base, the same error and the change of the error, the derivative of the error, and put the rules. I had in my course in the MIT Silchar even the chief of department of automatics, Professor Viceroy, and he did not understand even to have this knowledge, you must first be very strong in the conventional automatic. So having that knowledge is very easy, but all the rules that you can see here are very, very concentrated. So I explained him and he understood, but not so easy. So the information is very concentrated here. You need to have in your hands every element. At this point, I remember also discussions and also many books of Professor Zadek. So he was very strong in automatics, in classical automatics. He has many books and he introduced many things related to stability of the systems and all related to algebra of such blocks. Here we simulate with the PID a process. Is the same thing, the plane phase. We are looking to 0, to go to 0. So a PID for such a process, third order system, is not easy to control. But with fuzzy adaptive interpolative controller, you can see the trajectory is going and is also oscillating, but with small oscillations around. The last member, the fusion cell, the first one in the family, and other blocks. We made a lot of simulations and everything it was okay. It's important to put maybe it's not very easy to see different process, different. As I told you, I proposed to students there to use it, and some process had a big time delay. This controller gave very good results. For this one, third order system, with a time delay, we have some oscillations. But for other plants, we have very good and very fast response. So some benchmark studies are confirming us this remarkable potential for fuzzy self-adapting interpolative controller. In the first application that we used, it was related to air conditioning equipment for uncompartmented passengers in Eastern Europe. And slowly the factory will move, but still producing passenger cars and trams. First application was related to this factory, and we modeled this compartment or a room, or you will see by my last application, the greenhouse, we use the same when we need to control the force of oscillations. But of course there are many advantages, very fast and easy to develop. So you can and process that are high, but with this method it's very easy. Efficient implementation, and so on. Here I introduce only to see some titles you can find in our papers. So another application is related to imposed braking distance methods that is used also for in a certain distance that is imposed by rules. It can be dangerous. So they have this test many times over locomotives, and if they are not stopping in a certain distance, they stop them to go with passengers, with other transport. Optimal distance gap control for following cars. This is a very nice application where we are using the time to collision criterion, and we go further the traffic control by time to collision criterion. Even we proposed this some good years ago, and only few highways we have there in Romania. We attract a lot of citations for this criteria, and we are very happy to observe in Renault. They also introduced in a practical application our criterion, and they obtain it in the city. So this is to maintain the distance between cars. They obtain 35% fuel economy for their cars. So we are happy with this result. Using in highway, you can organize a platoon, and if it's an administration of a highway, they can impose a certain speed for that platoon. So will be a nice and smooth circulation there over that highway. Another application is related to what is happening when the passenger cars start to sliding, the wheels start to slide, how to obtain the real value of the speed of this car, just to control the braking force. We use there some fusion information related to different sensors. So these applications can be seen in our papers. Now the main presentation is here. I try to be near the topic that I saw to other participants, because in this global warming world, we need to do some good things to have a better world, a better life. We propose here another interesting concept related to greenhouses. In our area, it's very important. In your area, it's easy to cultivate your vegetables because the temperature is quite nice. But in Europe, we have different temperature, minus 20 degrees, minus 10, and plus during the winter. Anyway, during winter, we also need vegetables and flowers. You will see some images. And we need to create such spaces to produce very fast and not so expensive vegetables and flowers. Such greenhouse is a building where plants are cultivated in controlled conditions. You can think that that controller that will be used in such greenhouse, it's a quasi-interpolative controller that have very good results in our simulation and in reality, you will see soon. So the same greenhouse surface can feed 5 to 10 times more people than conventional when you are cultivating the same surface. We have a main obstacle, like everywhere, related to energy cost. So investment costs are high, infrastructure costs are also important, water, electricity, gas for a normal greenhouse. High, like infrastructure, it's also costly, and sometimes there are these renewable energies are either non-reliable, wind and sun. It happens we do not, some days we do not have wind, we do not have sun, or we have these too constant, unable to cope fast perturbation like in geothermal water. We have also a lot of hot spring in our area, in West Romania. There were some concepts introduced. You can see here water G, where we try to have a symbiosis between humans and plants. Here is the greenhouse from University of Toulon, where we visited some years ago. My husband even 2 times, I was only 1 time. It's an experimental greenhouse with artificial soil and with different devices for control with our controllers and to be in touch online. So it's a possibility for us. They also offer us many data because we need first to have the model, mathematical model of the greenhouse. We were working with the control using a model, mathematical model, to compare the reality with our model. So to have a good model, you need to have a lot of data. They gave us a lot of data recording. Our initial original concept was the passive energetic greenhouse. Mainly it was about a heat pump. Here you can see water and 2 circulate the water, heat pump is there, and then we will have a good temperature inside. Open water circuit, its sources will not be reliable. And here we have the mathematical model of such a greenhouse. It's, as I told you before, we started from compartmented in the railway coach. That model, it's very easy to be used for a room or for a greenhouse. It's a process, let's say. Mathematical and computer modeling we have here, and smart fuzzy logic control. So complexity and perceptions can be very easy to. And we have the wind influence that we also introduced. We worked at that time with the team of Toulon University and using some genetical algorithm, we obtained good tuning for some parameters here. So these 2 equations are the most important. And we introduced them in MATLAB Simulink and have some simulations. You can see here the identification for a greenhouse, interval 0 to 3. In 20 February 2004, we had such data because first visit was in 2006, the second in 2010. And there you can see to the upper side external temperature and the wind influence. And here is the heating system, how it's working, starting, stopping, and so on. Here, blue line is the model. The model is following quite nice the reality. So we are sure that our model model is good, is working well. Applications of greenhouse computer model, why is it important to have this model? We have the predictions of dangerous situation when it's freezing. There are some explanations, so we can predict them. Of course, we can use from internet some forecasts. And second, automat diagnosis. So another advantage as application. And the third, the sizing and optimization of the energy sources. We can have a certain and good approximation for the system there, not to be with a big power. Speaking about sustainable agriculture, system based on such passive greenhouses, here you can see in the area San Remo, Italy, it's a big festival for music there, and on the top of the mountains there are only greenhouses, producing flowers, producing vegetables. But the same area, greenhouses, Riviera, San Remo, also Monaco, and so on. Now we want to speak about this concept and ecological reconstruction. We know about global warming, we know about concentration of CO2 and oxygen, and that recorded from Mauna Loa that show a nice some trophic level here. We introduce few greenhouses, the real greenhouses. This is a concept from Almeria in Spain. It's a concept of closed greenhouses. You do not need water there, you only need to start. The water will be there inside. This is a tower where will be condensed water, and the water will circulate always there. Such kind of greenhouse you can put in the desert, and you can produce there vegetables. This is the sunlight and let only some light to go inside. And this one is LED greenhouse. If the plants inside need some spectral component, they will offer such component because we have different kind of light that can be offered to the plant during the night, of course. Here is another concept. Everything is there to produce energy for greenhouse. 5 mile hex greenhouse. Here is the project that was introduced. I do not insist. It's these days will be introduced again because at that time even was very nice applications finished. Our partner from Germany, from Berlin University, he introduced the take 1 day more, and it was limited amount of pages, 70 pages, and he introduced 100. Of course, all pages over 7 worker. But the project was very nice. We can introduce again in 2020 program. You can see Germany, Belgium, Romania, Swiss, Morocco, Egypt, again Germany, Italy. Here are some concepts I do during the day, during the night, and even to collect some water, and because you are not doing agriculture inside the cities, nowadays we need to see, because it's such a crisis, we do not have enough space. We introduced this concept, rooftop greenhouse, and you will see such concept that is realized in Europe and in West. So this concept is like a 3D like a forest, because we put a greenhouse over the top of a building in cities like such greenhouses. What is important in few words, we will produce oxygen in that greenhouse in the top, and down in the building we are producing the CO2. We will circulate this CO2 upper side and will introduce oxygen from the upper side down. It was there for the building gas concentration. On the other side, soft computing control using our fuzz interpolation is working at the greenhouse on the top. The CO2 also building and green skyline city. You will see in the years to come such concepts that are becoming reality, but we need good cooperations with architects and with other specialists, and it helps a lot. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions, if no, you can write me and ask over internet.
Any question? Professor Dharmendra Sharma. Professor Dharmendra Sharma is a career academic and researcher. His PhD is in Artificial Intelligence from Australian National University. He obtained his undergraduate and postgraduate qualifications from the University of South Pacific, where he was an academic for over 20 years prior to moving to take up an academic appointment at University of Canberra in 2001. He has held several leadership positions including deanship currently. Currently he is chair of University Academic Board and concurrently holds a distinguished professor position. He is also a member of FNU, University of Canberra Council, and has been an external advisor to the USP for several years. Can we have on the stage for him with a huge round of applause?
Great to be here. Bit of a deviation from what you have been hearing in the last day or two. I would. So good morning again. Bit of a deviation. I was hoping to share with you some of the research projects I'm doing, but also the bigger question of where are we headed as a community. Locally, of course, and internationally as well, globally, because artificial intelligence is impacting in some significant ways on everything that we do and how we live. So I'd like to share with you the trajectory, how we have come this far, and of course, put forward some provocations as well as to where we are going. And I also report on some of the research work we have been doing in this area. So rather than concentrating on my research outcomes, they're all available through my website. I would like to actually be more provocative in us perhaps reflecting on who we are now and what we will be in the future, and what are those challenges that will confront us. Challenges that will confront us in all sectors actually. So a bit of a narrative on my understanding of where we are and what needs to be done in the future. So thank you very much again for the opportunity, organizers, for me to share with you some of my insights and with experience that we have from Dharmendra. I'd like to share our take on where we are sort of headed. we talk about the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and digital. You end up getting it. What does it mean? We have enormous capacity digital-wise. But look, we'd like everyone to have improvement in quality of their life. So not only for now, but for the future. So legacy that we'd like to leave behind through our research and the impact of research that we leave behind would be here to stay. And of course, will shape the world moving forward. So I'll share with you some big, hairy, goals as well that perhaps AI is attempting to solve for us. We've seen yesterday and today research around power systems, all very good. Traditional research, and we're really going places with all that. So what I like to do is give slightly softer kind of a narrative on really defining us, or redefining us, not only in terms of societies, but also in terms of our research moving forward, empowered by digital. Right, so people might have read the book of Friedman, that world is flat. Yes, is it actually flat? There has been a rapid pace in technology uptake around the world, of course, but not everyone, nor all walks of life benefit from it. Technology is not equally distributed, but we are getting there. So we expect the fundamental drive of a change and modernization to be hooked in technology, to be technology-driven disruption. So through this disruption, we have already realized significant benefits, especially in democratization. So accessibility of education services to people who did not have access to all that through digital disruption is a big thing, and we'll continue to do that. We're not quite there yet, the best is still to come. But then that is at the level of transactional services where you make internet accessible, resources accessible through internet to different parts of the world. William Gibson had said the future has already arrived, it's just not evenly distributed yet. So I think there's a lot of merit in that statement. Do we know where we have unevenness, and how do we deal with all that? And what are alternative effects? Fake news and the exploitation of technology to drive the post-truth agenda. Again, a big challenge ahead of us. So how do we drive our communities forward when we are able to use technology, perhaps in ways that we're not expected that they would be used. So imagine how technology and AI would transform the world that we have at the moment. And the aim is to turn this into a more prosperous and better quality of life for everyone. So we know that the world is actually not flat at the moment, because not everyone has got access to all the resources, but we are on the way. So the change, the level of change that's coming our way is maybe cliched as well. It's quite rapid, so juggernaut. People are connecting throughout the world very well. But for what at the moment? It's largely for sharing of resources, for internet. Now the internet and computers were one of the top 10 inventions of the last century. And have we realized the full potential? Possibly not. There's much more to happen. So where are we now? And is the disruption well-grounded? And is it taking us somewhere towards empowerment? So these are the kinds of questions we'd like to ask. And we also should know that's all built on 0 and 1. 2 bits. The world is being built on 2 bits. How do we utilize the resources we have? So having a look at the machine that I have in my hand here, it's a smartphone. very basically, it is just an I/O kind of device, really. But then what has happened is, over the last 5-10 years, this has actually gone much more. It's a lot of power in your hand, really. It's not just a calculator or a glorified calculator. It is a much more than even an information processor. Because it's not a working office only now. It's connected to a lot of servers around the world. If you have the apps, WhatsApp, name it, they're all connecting up. So really through this, you are connected to the world. And what does that mean? That means that there's democratization, that the walls that we've had in the past in connectivity have been broken down because the digital divide is being torn down because of this. Now with that, a lot of other questions then arise. The power that you have in your hand would be power based on resources that you can access. The human, this computer interaction, interface, depends on what we want, and we pull information out. A lot of information available, of course, as well. So that's at a transactional level. Then reflect on what potential this has got for the future. It already records data that I generate through the signals, right? The health data. It can do a lot more in collecting data, analyzing data, and making data results available to you. It can be an agent for you. It might just be an avatar. It might just mimic what you're doing. It might get to learn much more than you know about yourself, right? This is the power. This is the potential for the future. But then, because this is connected to servers around the world, do we trust those servers? The moment you are on the internet, whether you're rightly protected, the moment you update anything about yourself, if you're on the network, chances are that there are other people who access your data. And more often than not, that actually happens. So Google, for example, makes $50 billion by using data that they find out about you at the moment. And that they've got potential to do a lot more. Why? How is it all possible? It's because the signals that we generate through clicks, even through emotions, it gets captured. How you feel on a certain day gets captured. What are you likely to invest in that day gets captured, and then the right kind of products get pushed to you. So look, that's the path that we're going into. How will that impact the future world? Well, it's just left to our imagination. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, what we want to do is, through technology, we want to contribute in our small way to solving problems, but also in managing ourselves a lot better. Internet is there. That's, as some people say, internet is the whole knowledge base that we like to have access to and answers all the questions that we have. All good. Ravikumar said this as well, that we want to share knowledge widely, and actually it's come to fruition through internet. So now how do we move on with this? Well, intelligence is the word, and central to that is data. Yes? So I'd like to talk about how we see the future. Google data is one aspect, one implementation or realization of where data is actually kept. But beyond just the data and resources that are available on the internet, we would like intelligence. So as I said before about our own health situation, we should be able to model all that. And there are systems that do that already. But this is interaction of you as a human with a machine that you've got in front of you. Now, there are background servers that can do analysis work almost immediately, and you get to know how you feel or what needs to be done in combating or addressing any issues that you may have arising. in the short term and longer term. So, exponential technologies which sit on data and signals that get captured ought to find answers. We have models now that we can use to extract insights from these huge volumes of data. Provided you have the APIs, you should be able to scan through and you run your learning algorithms and you expect patterns. But not always you are given the APIs. So what we end up doing is we develop our models using the methodologies that are available to us. So now our machines using Python, some languages, some environment. But what actually will happen is through internet, we will have intelligence services being provided. And that capturing of the data from you, the signals, anything that generates a signal can be captured into data and analysis done. And informed decisions taken based on the data we have. So as you know, that the data is just growing so much. How do we go into that space in extracting information? It really depends on what you are after. So when you look at AI is an attempt to solve those kinds of problems. Firstly, to understand the science behind where you are. It could be very fuzzy, inexact science, but at least you're able to capture it and understand the phenomenon that you are in, or the phenomenon that you want to deal with. But also, how do you take an informed decision, perhaps, or do some problem solving where the analytical techniques don't quite work. So you have data, you have exponential data, and from these huge amounts of data, you should be able to extract patterns. Doctors, the surgery bit that happens, machines learn now. So when you're looking at precision, machines, the robot that does surgery that actually learns with time, and it goes in exactly where we want surgery to happen. So not just left on its own to do trial and error and all that. So rather than just doing testing, generating testing kind of solutions in the past, AI has empowered us to go into a space where we can go into the promising areas of solution space and to realize that. So I'll share with you Duane Weltz's point of view here as well. He's a computational scientist at Google. He expressed his hopes to decipher the role of science and technology in the coming future within the realms of social life and academia. Smartphones, mobile communication devices reminiscent of what is called tricoder in Star Trek, examples of almost every evenly distributed demonstrated products, democratized products. So that's again a full analysis of how he thinks we, the technology people, the digital disruption, also AI is going to shape the world moving forward. Cognitive robots and cyborgs are already transforming civilizations on a more personal level. Self-driven cars, as you all know, are now coming to the market as well. It's happening in Australia as well. Sydney has been trying this. And also we have a flying man now as well, which is quite interesting, that we had a trial in Sydney just recently, where machine learning allows stability and all that, and actually humans can fly, which was not the case before. I think America is ahead of us. They already had this tested before. So Marx also hypothesizes that the computational systems will be the story of the century. Einstein did say that technology has exceeded humanity, and this is some time ago. This is so true. I'd like to share some of this things on what actually has happened, hadn't been predicted before, and it actually has become a cliche that the pace of change in the world is increasing quite rapidly. It's coming, especially IT-driven change, disruption is coming as a juggernaut. So much so that now the AI systems are infiltrating and attempting to take it to the next level. where humans are being modeled and machines with computational power they have, flag-seeing human beings develop solutions and deliver solutions. So some of these judgments that were made in 1825 on the Britain's leading engineers had said that the idea of train traveling at 30 miles per hour was preposterous at that time, but happened in 5 years. So just the pace of changing technology that has led to where we are now is phenomenal. 1901, Wilbur Smith had said men will not fly for 50 years, but within a few years, 2 years after that statement, they actually created the airplane, right? So, amazing. 1943, we had Thomas Watson, the chairman of IBM, said there might be a market, world market for maybe 5 computers. 1943. How many do we have now? Everywhere, so almost everyone has multiple computers, either through a mobile phone or otherwise. So do we understand what iPhone is all about now? It's got the power of Apollo 11 put together, digital power that Apollo 11 had in one machine, without the servers, by the way, just the computational power and the storage that we brought. Okay, so there is this revolution that's hitting us. I still feel that it's barely begun and we are touching the surface. There's much more that's coming our way. Are we ready? Are we going to be passengers in this revolution, or are we going to lead by contributing some creativity to it so that we have a better control of our life moving forward? Disruption has hit us and will continue to hit us in the past, in the future, and also AI is going to push us. 2 scholars from Oxford had actually said that the digital disruption, AI, will have a significant impact on jobs. So much so that there would be a loss of about 40% by 2040, 40% of jobs would be lost. But then there will be creation of 60% new kinds of jobs in 20 years from then. So 2060, that's what's been hypothesized. So in Australia, we are facing that as well, and we need to do something to ensure that our people are looked after and that jobs are created so that they sustain themselves. I should also say that there are other developments that are very, very useful, and these are again some food for thought for research moving forward. 3D printing is becoming quite common now as well. I mean, you can print your drugs. You can print almost anything, a jet engine, and liver and a heart. All those things can be printed. The fact that they have been tested out and they have been printed shows that there's enormous potential in that area. So you name it. You have opportunities moving forward, and largely AI-driven and data science-driven. Why I'm saying data science is based on experiential data, all the experiences that we get. We develop, extract insights from there and develop models to move us forward. So imagine microchips on this scale woven into everything, into pillows in hospitals, giving feedback about vital signs, into sports gear, whatever. So you can model almost everything. As long as there is a signal, you can model it and you can learn from it and take decisions to make it smart. The process is smart, people smart, community smart. Machines would be smart because they would be partners in whatever we do rather than our slaves as we have been seeing them in the past. Airbnb operates in 34,000 towns at the moment, right, in cities. So what does that mean? There's no physical infrastructure of Airbnb. It's all done through digital means. So it's quite good. You have Ola, you have all these other cabs, Uber and all that. They are all being driven by digital systems. So we know that data, which is driving this, the smartness in our system, is becoming huge. Exponential growth in data. How do we use data to then data into smart systems for the future. That's where data mining comes in, and we learn from the data to move forward. So we are saying that every 2 years now data is sort of doubling. Huge amounts of data, yet we are not able to extract all that we want from data. So the world is data rich and still quite poor in terms of information. I think Prime Minister Modi actually said this in Houston just a couple of days ago, that India is data rich as well, and it's got a lot to offer to the world. So can we exploit that in finding models? So I'll keep going. This mobile phone has got answers to everything now, so I can now use the light here. So internet devices, in 1984 we had a total of 1,000 only. Now we have 10 billion. So phenomenal increase, right? Also I should say that since the information is doubling every 2 years, by 2020 human knowledge will double every 12 hours. Can you imagine that? What will we do with all that? And then they might all be accessible to you, of course in some controlled fashion. But if it's accessible to you, what will you do with that kind of information? Would you know where to go? To be able to find out what is relevant to what you want to do, you need to have some smart systems to help you get there. Otherwise there'll be information overflow, flooding of information, and you won't know really. So while technology is there and we are collecting data, are we fully realizing the potential? Considering the fact that in 2050, Ray Kurzweil says that we will hit technical singularity, that machines will far exceed, or about exceed at least, the capability of human beings. So it's a scary feeling, but at the same time there seems to be a lot of opportunity. And what we like to do is to be able to cash in on all that, provide research to be able to manage information and draw intelligence to contribute to a better world moving forward. Okay, thank you. So there are many intractable problems that we are able to solve now through AI that we were not able to solve before. And largely through digital disruption. I'd like to share some of these ones, the ones that I have dealt with myself. I have developed an AI system that is cutting across the various different systems on the internet. So a society of intelligent agents, which is now, first application was a personal agent, really that's a society built on a society of agents that actually looks after you as an individual. So there are challenges in those areas to how you learn from the data around, from masses of data to be responsive to what your needs are. So there's a new paradigm that we have developed. A lot of applications that have fed into that. And we have talked about applications in the last 1.5 days. But each data-driven application seems to be quite different, unless you have transfer learning and all that, and actually regenerate through generative AI kinds of solutions that you're looking for. Normally, different kinds of problems bring different kinds of challenges. And I found that in various applications that I have worked on, so modeling and optimization of sports, we have developed a system that actually does cycling training from training to performance for optimal performance used by the Australian Institute of Sports. So how do you optimize training so that you get optimal performance? Now details of these are in the papers that you can access through the web. So I'll just very briefly mention the other things I have done. The student learning problem is a difficult one as well, because different students have different levels of aptitude, background, different likeness, and all that. How do you engage with students? So we have worked on a project in that space, again data-driven, looking at the sentiment analysis, and again specific models that we have fleshed out for student behavior to feed back information into the system, the learning system that inspires students to change their behavior for optimal outcomes. So again, an interesting problem there. Depression is quite an interesting problem as well. It's been hitting the world, depression and stress, mental health. And we have, through physiological and other measures, we are able to, maybe I should show you some diagrams here. So I like to just just say what AI is. I should like that off, I didn't quite share this video. So AI, different people mean different things, but broadly the word cloud here shows you different definitions. It's essentially just defining difficult problems and finding solutions for them, and also being able to explain the phenomena, understand the phenomena that's there that you're addressing, and also explaining decisions that you draw from the computational science in finding solutions to those problems. So all these various bits that you've got there, you characterize AI. There isn't one single definition of AI, really. For different kinds of problems, you have different definitions, largely different definitions because you're targeting different kinds of solutions. And the way you get there is through some hard problem solving, which is where your intractability, irrespectiveness comes, and algorithms then help you get that you develop for that kind of problem. Okay, so here as well, you can see that traditional systems, we talk about big data, here amounts of data. So big data, where you pose a question in the traditional sense and you try and get an answer. But really the big data set as we see AI-driven problem solving, the system should find questions for you that are relevant to the kinds of things that you want to do. So, there's a big shift in the paradigm from this to this. So you really have to get the system to answer those questions for you. And then we have this huge data that you want to analyze. And where is the optimization sitting here, data intelligence that builds on to give you the edge. So in the business sense, and almost everything that you do is business really. So forecasting, predictive modeling. You also have descriptive modeling as well, where you want to provide science behind solutions that you have and the processes that you use. And optimization becomes hard there as well. So this is not numerical optimization. We have constraints-based optimization as well, which are qualitative, equal to Boolean satisfiability or aggregate conditions that we need to satisfy. So essentially, I've talked about this before, data, I call it knowledge base, which is this continuum here. You can sit anywhere in that space there, as long as you have signals of some sort, you can generate data, and you can build this up. So our internet is knowledge base. It may not give you the intelligence that you want. You have these smart algorithms that give you that. So much of our effort in the AI community is spent building these smart algorithms. And you look at the papers that you've been presenting since yesterday, but in a specific area, largely a problem-driven approach. Essentially, though, knowledge base is extracting rules, algorithms, insights. It's not just flat data. Looking at extracting association rules, algorithms, generating automatic algorithms to solve problems through learning. So I talked about stress and depression, and what we have done here, we actually have developed signatures for individuals by looking at all these different variables or parameters, the physical and the physiological. And we have, again, developed algorithms to first identify the level of depression and then find ways of managing depression through music and some other change in the environment that we create. So it's all simulated. We've been able to do that. Because this is a real world problem, motivating an AI response. We have found ways of dealing with this. Again, dealing with this in a way that hasn't been dealt with in the past. So really building cognition, the machine to be able to look at a person and say, well, this person is depressed, then what do we do about it? similar sort of health area where you have feature selection and you have predictive modeling. That's the same kind of approach or should I say architecture that we use. I've been working on a project in climate change. We have Future Cities project that we have just applied for a big grant on based on the outcomes we have received so far. And there's a small funding that is given to us to look at robot-based farming in Fiji, and trying this out at the moment. So, these are again areas which are quite specific, problem-driven kind of areas for which we don't have standard solutions. So we could use standard existing solutions, but they need to be adapted to be able to develop algorithms. So here you're looking at a robotic solution, and then sensors that pick up information in the fuzzy world to get a maximum outcome from that farming implement, which is robotic really. Then I should share this with you as well. This is the latest one piece of research that we are doing. It's about heat method. People talked about this yesterday as well in the research paper presentations. We have tried to model a scaling variant using convolutional neural networks as well. So very similar to some of the work that we reported yesterday. And we have used the cat's vision, human paper from the 1950s that has inspired our work in this area. So what we have done is we've improved through the filters, intelligent filters that we have developed, classification of data that's coming from vision systems, and we are able to classify the image. So all we are doing here is standard CNN plus text vision analysis, and we model that, develop an algorithm to deliver outcomes which show progress, which are improvements to the vision system. Okay, so some data there. All we are doing in that project is global first and local to global analysis. That's the addition that we are making here, rather than just local feature extraction. So that is improving the efficiency, but also in terms of accuracy, it's showing promise. Right. So I'd like to just share with you some other things that we would like to provoke, just some thoughts moving forward. We talk about quality of life, we talk about humans, empathy, artificial intelligence. So I'm working on a project where we're taking AI to artificial empathy. Now, empathy is about compassion, about pain, about happiness. How do we measure all that? How do we model all that? And how do we respond to it all by an inanimate being, which is a computer, as if it's coming from a human being? Okay. So that's a big challenge, but we're making some inroads in that area as well. It is all artificially quantified, but the behavior that we're simulating it is very much human-like behavior. So I'm working with some doctors on this one to get a system, at least as a prototype, up and going, where doctors feel convinced that we have a level of empathy in the service we provide to the patient. So that's our next project, and it's already started. Dr. Balas and I are working on this project. Right, so what's the future then? It all seems quite interesting. We have transactional kind of IT, disruptive IT. Now, disruption to AI is the next phase. And AI means, as I said, different things, different people, is solving hard problems in the most efficient and effective way. Can we improve our systems through intelligence? That's the question we're probing. And the other thing is, because we're looking at problems, research is often problem-driven, and that's what we like to do. Unlike what the Cambridge Analytica model had said, right, influencing the elections, also Trump's election as well, and Brexit has been again something of contention. Data-driven, but data sliced and diced in a way that it could be exploited for the purpose that it was going to be useful. So there are questions, ethical questions there as well, now whether we're doing the right thing. Data is invaluable. That's much more expensive now than oil. If you are uploading your data, then you are giving your data away to somebody. So what we want to do is develop AI systems that are data-driven. There are issues though. The Russian interference in the US elections, this recording of all that, all played around in data, that space, influences all built on that. And cybersecurity is again a big issue. We can collect data, transactional data, and we can fetch patterns out to identify any patterns of interest and deal with it. Now the big problem is, of course, AI can solve problems, but the internet and digital disruption can pose a lot of problems for us as well. So in the cybersecurity space, you might know that the cyberspace is weaponized for terrorism and abuse, right? So we need to deal with that in a careful way. Jobs, we've talked about this. Everyone, I think somebody said this yesterday, everyone is killing a job every day at least. How do we, in a creative way, replace the jobs that we are losing? We also know that in 1984, George Orwell had written about Big Brother. So people are keeping an eye on you, right, without you knowing about it. China has got what's called a social index. So you get measured in terms of who you are, what you have done. There's an index given to you, right? So we need this Big Brother stuff, right? And Uncle Sam now has been there for several years, because that's a similar kind of concept. So there are those issues that are coming about. Because you are able to capture data real time, you can model the behavior of people. You have to know the people as well. How do you ensure that you have independence and a right to live in your own way? Those are things that are being taken away. So security becomes a very important part of AI moving forward. We've closed newspapers, we have destroyed journalism. Anything that gets put on the internet is seen to be true, right? May not be true. There's no vetting, or little vetting that goes on. It's very unfortunate. How do we deal with that? We need to have AI solution to these problems as well. So I'd like to just put this forward, and for you to reflect on possible research areas in this space. Trump's Twitter sphere, it gets crowded, of course, at times, and it's becoming more and more, the occurrence is increasing with time. There's a lot that's coming out of that Twitter sphere space. How much of that should you actually believe? This is one case, but there's so many other cases like it. Yeah, people believe all that gets sent out, right? So that will have impact and influence on our lives. How do we protect ourselves? And how do we ensure that we have sufficient skills and knowledge to be able to decipher through this, so that we take information that is not just politicized or sensationalized and not true. Music industry has been destroyed, yes. A lot of downloading that goes on, so this is digital disruption that gives us this. AI is not to be blamed there, but AI can be used to protect it. Front office work is all gone, talking about losing jobs. Tax returns in Estonia gets filled up automatically now. People know, the tax office knows who you are. We have accountants, economists, they're on the way out as well, because we have fintech and large software, intelligent software that runs those kinds of systems now. Education, we've been challenged in universities, not only in terms of the content we deliver, but also how we deliver the content. How do we engage with students? The modern day millennials are of a different brain, right? Their thinking is different. They're born out of their digital natives, so they know where digital is taking them, their confidence, and they help themselves around all that, and they rely on that so much as well. So how do we as people from the universities, how do we deal with that as an issue as well? But cheating, so if you put material online, if you examine people, or even theses these days, we've found that not everything is whole-proof, right? So they can be contradictory. So you pay people to write a thesis for you, and you submit them in your name. So when those kinds of things are here, we need to find AI solutions to ensure that firstly we identify that such issues occur, and where it does occur, deal with it. But before it actually occurs, we need to have an intervention through which, through an educative process, people don't resort to those kinds of techniques, because that's not good learning. Right, just the final few flying robots, that is in the form of drones that have come in, they're investing that they are coming, including our space as well. What will become of the future with all these drones and once they become intelligent, they'll pick what they want to do, right? Will we have control? So fuzzy controllers, we have to come in. We have to have some kind of control ourselves to ensure that we don't allow them to enter our privacy and steal the sensitive information. But can we afford that? AI will have to be looked upon to find a solution for that. So the world is at the moment still talking about technology, advancement of technology, AI and all that. But the world is still got many problems, that need eradication. Vulnerable societies, climate change, enablers, poverty, water problem, pollution problem, traffic problem. Yes. Can we find solutions? If AI is truly the discipline that should, and AI is multidisciplinary, by the way, and we have opportunities to also find innovation, creativity in that space. If it truly can deliver, these are the challenges we need to confront through AI and produce solutions. So people who are thinking about research in these areas, there are these problem-driven things, there are vulnerable communities, there's violence, there's domestic violence, there's mental illness. All these need to be somehow addressed. If it can't be done in the current scheme of things, AI should be able to provide solutions. So care, love, compassion, and affection for our elderly is a segment of our people who we tend to forget. And that's becoming a big problem. We have AI systems now being trialed out in Australia where you have robots in home care environments to look after the elderly. But the love and compassion is missing. You can't quite simulate what human beings normally would do. And then environmental sustainability is another big problem ahead of us that we really need to tackle. Right, so there seems to be enormous opportunity for us all. To be a researcher at this time, in this era is great, because there are some problems that we as human beings have created, we don't know how to solve. There are other problems coming our way because somebody else has created them. But also there are other worldly problems that need to be resolved, and we haven't been able to do that in the last 100, 200, 300 years. So while we brag about AI taking the communities forward, can we find solutions to these problems? If we can, in the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, if AI can make some inroad, that'd be great, and that's my hope. And I think we need to reflect on this, and see if we, in our small ways, can challenge ourselves by asking AI to find solutions, and then we realize those solutions moving forward. So we need to engage. We need to create opportunities. Digital disruption, of course, is there. We want a better quality of life, but it can only come through our technical pursuit for excellence. Thank you. I'd like to leave this slide here as well, and I like Vladimir Putin for this. There's one leader who actually came out and said AI is here to stay, and if you can tame it and use it in the right way, you can change the world. I hope that comes true sometime. That's the mission we're on. Thank you very much.
You go probably to like 2012. And you see that productivity in factories everywhere around the world, this is sort of some kind of a average data, increased by 75%. Whereas in the office, productivity increased only by 3%. Something is strange, isn't it? So where is the problem? There is no electricity. Yeah, this is one of the problems. Nalinach, we need to have robots that can work when there is no electricity. I think this is really cool. Okay, so, by the way, this is my collaborator, Nalinach Kumar. I'm going to be mentioning him later too. So, anyways, this is interesting because you know what? It seems human is the problem. If we eliminated the human who works so slowly in the office, things would be so efficient. So what is the office work today across the world? Okay, by the way, we academicians know it darn well. Fill forms, then fill more forms. Guys, what do you need to do when you get back? And you probably need to fill some report, put some numbers. If you were paid by the university, you have to fill some additional forms. Those forms go on probably to somebody who needs to fill those forms, put some stamps, and this in Poland, there's plenty, there's stamp culture. I mean, I'm not even mentioning Romania, but I have seen, I will be getting money from Romania Academy. And I mean, this is like ridiculous. Okay? Create spreadsheet to gather, organize, analyze, and report financial information. And then mail it to someone. So you have the spreadsheet, there are some numbers, you put some numbers in, you get some numbers out, you email them to somebody. Take data from one system and copy to another system. And it's a human who's going to be doing it, yes? Use paper forms to bridge organizations, processes, or systems. Take data from multiple systems and combine and send as mail. Or then people, of course, are trying to build some self-authored tools, and if they can do something, they realize that this is like stupid work. So here's an example. Purchasing order. What do you do with purchasing order? You get information from email. Then you log into vendor portal. Then you copy the information into business application and update status in the vendor portal. And you repeat this process 8 hours a day. And this last comment is for India particularly. Hey, you're gonna get 1,200 rupees a month for working like true worker in a corporation. Yeah, you're gonna probably be offended. Don't. I heard the Bengaluru joke. You want a Bengaluru joke? If you take a stone and throw in the random direction in Bengaluru, there are two things that you can hit. Either a dog or a programmer. And you know what is the difference? The programmer will be on the leash, and the dog not. Some of the true facts, and I'm not sure if they are true because they are from the internet, but they are from reliable sources. So, out of every 100 steps of a business process that are done manually, human is likely to make approximately 10 errors. Even if the process is well-trained and repetitive. Is it true? Okay, I bought it from the internet for nothing, I'm selling you for nothing. If it's not true, don't blame me, blame the internet. But everything on the internet is true, isn't it? Yeah, we know it. Elvis is living in Las Vegas. Still. I read it on the internet. It must be true. 22% of average time of office employee consists of performing repetitive tasks. Those are results, by the way, from some studies done by some people who are in business management. So if you have some faculty in the School of Management, then they may find those reliable or not. But this is where we are going. Organizations usually automate only 25 to 40% of their workflows. Typical true rule-based workflow can be automated in 70 to 80%. Now this, by the way, reminds me, do you know what is 80-20 rule? The 80-20 rule, by the way, which sometimes also comes together with the Zipf law, it is like this. If you have a budget of 100%, then with 20% of effort, you can get results, 80% of results. And then the remaining 80% of your effort will be to get the remaining 20%. It's really strangely crossing. And here we seem to be showing that you can automate approximately 80% of workflows. And then there are the remaining 20% of workflows that are extremely difficult, and this is where the people should be working, the human workers. So if this is true, this means that on the one hand side, you can have 80% of workflows in companies automated. The remaining 20 are those cases that for the time being, until he automates everything through artificial intelligence, they have to be manually controlled by humans. Now, in the subtitle of my talk is India is time to worry. If this is the case, then 80% of workers that do this processing of various things for American and European and other companies will be out of job. Sorry, this is not, this is what happens when on my screen it looks good and it's readable. Yeah. So I will try. Transportation and logistics. 32% of transportation and logistics companies rely on manual steps on more than 50% of processes. Half of companies still use manual processing and monitoring changes, exceptions, and disruptions to their supply chain and plan activity. Manual. Financial services. 34% of financial organizations rely on manual processes. Insurance. Top number one efficiency challenge is manual processes. Finance and accounting. 47 of AP professionals consider manual data entry and inefficient processes their biggest challenge. Generally speaking, everybody knows manual work is bad. So what can we do? Well, in the old days, all of you would say, hey, let's do integration of systems. Yeah, sure. So we're going to have an integration project worthy 20 million rupees for 2 years, and when it's completed, it's completely useless. Why? Because the process is changed in the meantime. The biggest challenge of big integration projects is that the project is long and complex. You can complete it, and even if miraculously you complete it on the budget, world is changing so fast that by the time you are done integrating, all of this job is totally wasted. And I will give you an example. My good friend, with whom I was studying together, worked for a bank as IT. And you know, and they were doing some integration because this bank bought another bank. So let's try to. Bank number 2 buys bank number 1. So my friend is doing integration of systems and everything of bank 1 and bank 2. They have this big project in the company. You know what happens when they are halfway through the project? Bank number 2 is purchased by bank number 3. Which says, okay, let's take all the systems of banks 1 and 2 and completely trash them. All of this work, all of the manpower, man-hours, IT, programming, systems, analytics, waste bin, bam. Because it was not agile enough, it was not fast enough, it was not flexible enough. automation, apparently there is already an institute that is devoted to it. And then there is a definition from one of the leading, most important companies in the robotic process automation. Those guys got a couple of $100 million to develop their product. I can tell you, if I had a couple of $100 million, I could develop better products. But anyways, you can read it now. I know you can read and comprehend, and push this guy so he will wake up. Yeah, wake up. I'm here. Thank you. I know, last night probably was a great party. Okay, so you can read it for a moment. I will have some water and we will go on. Okay? This is what robotic process automation is about. Okay? So, what is the most simple explanation? By the way, this explanation is overly simplistic, but it's the main idea. Computer does exactly what the worker was doing. Exactly. It operates using keyboard plus mouse, mostly. So, it will use keyboard and mouse to open file, copy-paste data, run application, copy a result to another file, mail the results to predefined addresses, which means it will have to open the window with mail, select to whom it needs to go, type as the human would type the address, or take it from someplace else, copy it, and mail it. And by the way, you will be able to see it on the screen as it happens. You will have ghost workers, invisible workers. All this need is tools to represent worker operation. So here you have ghost workers. Okay? Again, the point is not that something has been integrated. The point is that it is integrated in an extremely lightweight fashion, not touching, in a way, anything. You see, the operations which are performed are exactly the way that the human brain would cause fingers of a worker to proceed. It is not integrating into the logic. It's not touching the logic of the application. Scripts working mostly on GUI level. Of course, you can have something, and when I'm going to be showing you some review of some platforms, you will see that you can do it also somewhat differently. You can have some add-ons. You can integrate some modules. But in the simplest, purest case, all of the integration is done on the screen. Note, this is key. You don't put your fingers into anything underneath. Because the human doesn't do it. It works when we operate on the screen. Okay? Whereas if you have integrations that integrates, that touches. Have a good day. Bye. If you have an integration that will change something in the applications underneath, it's dangerous. You know, for instance, why it's dangerous? Because if you have, let's say that you are integrating with SAP. You know what SAP is? This SAP, most business processing software. Okay, so you are integrating with SAP. If you try to integrate with SAP, and SAP has a new release, it may destroy your integration. Whereas the interface most likely will remain unchanged. Or you're going to need to do minimal changes in the way, on the level of the screen. And deployment should be relatively fast. It should be flexible. And this means that for businesses, money talks. When to integrate, when to use RPA? Well, first you are finding which areas are underperforming, application which is legacy, rigid, and you even don't want to touch it because if you touch it, it's going to fall apart. Maybe you have an application that has 2 million lines of COBOL. You know what COBOL is? Who knows what COBOL is? Good. Yeah, but you should. You should. I mean, I would be surprised if you didn't. But yeah, because you have to be old and wise, like Guru on the top of the mountain, to know what COBOL was and why. And COBOL was beautiful. COBOL was like poetry. Wasn't it? No. Okay, so it was like bad literature. Okay. If you realize that to scale up you need more workers, maybe you need to automate something. Application areas, transportation, manufacturing, banking, insurance, healthcare, accounting, potentially more. Everywhere there is right now manual processing of data that leads to take data from here, put it here, check it here, run application, take data, mail it, read something, combine, all the time. Now, you can also use RPA in funny ways. I am even not mentioning a very cute application that Nalin is constantly struggling with because LinkedIn is defending itself from robots. But an application that allows you to send messages to all of your LinkedIn contacts without you working on it. You will have a robot that will go and communicate to your LinkedIn contacts, which in the business context may be very useful. But here, did you look for a hotel lately? It's probably more for the seniors here. Okay, so you go to booking.com. You have to check all the filters. Date. Then the filters, what you like, what are your preferences, breakfast, no breakfast, pool, no pool, whatever. Number of stars, price. Okay, so you have some suggestions. But then you go to Agoda, which is more Asian thing. Or you go to hotels.com. Or you go to Trivago. Yeah, and there's probably like zillions more. Okay, in India, what is your favorite website to find hotels? What? Oyo. Okay, you go to Oyo. And each time, you need to spend time putting your preferences, and then you get from each one of them different results. Here is, for instance, a simple example. In June, I was talking about this in Dvarka in an institute. So I looked for hotels in Dvarka. In Booking.com, there were certain properties, and in Agoda, there were different properties. And by the way, there are no APIs for those things. So you cannot build an API-based application. But with RPA, if you are clever, you can get yourself combined information from multiple sources. Which means, by the way, that you could get information in use from various sources in this way by finding, copy-pasting, arranging it according to preferences. And the best thing is that if I once mark that I always want 8+ ranking in Booking, I don't have to repeat it every time. Now, you may ask yourself, so what is the relationship between robotic process automation and artificial intelligence? And the first important message is, you can do robotic process automation with no AI at all. Everything will be rule-based, especially if you have a simple case, no need to have any artificial intelligence. Okay? Those things are orthogonal to each other. Now, AI can be used to enhance RPA. In particular, AI may allow you to deal gather data and processes, and then if there is data that is repeated multiple times using some analysis, then you may be able to recover from it that there is a process that can be automated and what the nature of the process is. We will start, this is something we will start looking into January 1st. You can look into, we thought about capturing work style of a worker. And for instance, as anomaly, detecting when the worker is tired. Guys, listen. If we have, let's assume for a moment that we have a human, and the human has to do something, but the human may suddenly start working differently. This may mean that there is something wrong with the worker, and this may lead to errors. So there is variety of areas that you can do. Now, almost closing, we are almost done, don't worry. I will show you a little bit about four, I think, most popular robotic process automation platforms, or most popular or very important. One is very important, three are very popular, one is important, and one is the one that I want you to tell you a little bit more about. Now, please, those are just here to show you variety of approaches. So, more or less to give you the initial scale, sort of landscape of robotic process automation tools. There is a lot more. There may be some mixed solutions and so on. This is not the ultimate guide to robotic process automation tools, but this should give you some ideas as to how people approach it. So the first one is UiPath, and here Valentina can be very happy because the company started in Romania. Then they got, I'm not sure, between 100 and 400 million dollars. They are one of the dominant forces on the market with the platform. There is plenty of people in India who are using UiPath. It is GUI-based. So more or less, you develop robots using drag and drop elements which you are combining together to represent workflows. There is data scraper, there is logging and debugging, there is this thing which is orchestrator, which is an interface to robot. Generally, and there are some workflow templates already provided for basic workflows, most popular, here's some templates. It is Windows-based with VBNet and C#. Now, for students and individuals, it's free. Also for small companies, can be free. Large companies need to purchase enterprise license. Community edition, which is the free one, does not have orchestrator. Automation anywhere. I don't know much about the company itself, but here you have drag and drop, so GUI-based, and code-based. Code is VB-script, which immediately, to anybody who is a programmer, sort of makes the skin crawl, because doing complex programming in VB-script, they have a number of special features. So they focus on special features. Like for instance, they have integration with SAP built in. You have templates for automations, which in their case, in the previous case, they had some basic workflows. Here, you have templates which are named metabots. So they are thinking the same way. We need give users some templates. The templates are metabots. They are community and enterprise licenses. Blue Prism. By the way, automation anywhere exists in India. Blue Prism also exists in India. There are some people who are announcing Blue Prism certification in Hyderabad or something like that. GUI-based. Here, everything is workflow, no scripting, no programming, no logging, nothing. Just take the screen, put those things together, so it's programming for non-programmers. It has debugging, it is Windows-based .NET. Apparently the environment is very large because it's 10 gig, which is required to run this sucker. There are 3 types of licenses: learn, try, and buy. Learn is the easiest, the shortest one, so it's like for 1 or 2 days or something, or maybe 5 days. The try is like 30 days, and then you have to buy. Cryon. Now, Cryon makes some very interesting claims, because they claim that they can do what we will be trying to figure out starting from January, but they are doing it slightly different. They are really analyzing the screen. So Cryon is screen-oriented. They analyze the screen, and they claim that they have AI that can recover workflows from the information they can gather from the screen itself. No programming language. Everything is drag and drop, and then your individual enterprise. This one is a newer one and is a little bit less supported, but I picked it up to show you this link between RPA and AI. Okay? AI is there to recognize operations. And an actual photo. Okay, and then there's Giant. Of course, this is G1 Ant, but you read it as Giant, and it's a green giant because the color of the company is green. So it's Green Giant. It started in London, but they scaled down a little bit and they moved back to Warsaw, which is somewhat cheaper than London. And also, you know, it is really unclear when the Brexit will happen, if it will happen, and what it will mean. So it's better to be in Warsaw than to be in London. It was created in April 2016, so it's barely 3 years old. You can find it on Facebook and on GitHub. What do you have? You have software available, and this one goes like completely in the other direction. Because instead of strong support for drag and drop, they are programmer focused. And they have developed their own DSL, domain-specific language for robotic process automation. And you have this studio, which has some debugging, there's a bit of recording. And here, the way of providing templates, you remember, one had templates, one had metabots. Here, instead of templates and metabots, they will be creating add-ons. So add-ons will be more or metaphorically. If you are a programmer, you should see it, that if you have templates, or if you have metabots, or if you have add-ons, the general idea is to give the user capability of having some building blocks that one way or another can be used to build library. And it's supposed to be in the future a marketplace for add-ons. It's C#.NET, but now don't quote me on this, but I was told that by the end of the year there's going to be Python. Python, they either Iron Python or there's another Python. One of the open source Pythons will be interfaced with the central engine. Free for developer, and here is a relatively unique licensing, which is free for developers. And by the way, it's free as long as your robot is not working hard, which means that they are sort of recognizing, and if the work is done in short spurts, something, then it's for free. You are to pay using the service-oriented model, which means that if your robot is actually working, then you're going to be paying for the work of the robot. Now, if you are interested in learning more, in particular about Giant, Nalinux is the expression is that I will pass 1:30, if everything works perfectly. If not, I figured out that India is this half-hour move in, to every place in the world. So it's going to be by 2 o'clock, because the standard 30 minutes you add to any time, and then you get the real time. This is why the 30 minutes is there. So in room D102, starting from around 1:30, Nalinaksh and myself will be there. So if you want to learn more about how to use Giant in classroom, because with the licensing model, using it in the classroom is cheap and easy because it's for free. Yes, as long as and some arrangements can be made that they can work a little bit longer as long as they are for educational purposes. How to start doing an ambassador program? We also have internships. We are now in month 2 of the first internship, and we're going to have more internships coming next year, because the internship is 3 months and you get the full internship without leaving India. So please come and we can talk and we can see what we can do together. Here is me. Now, I am not please, if you find me on Facebook, go to my profile which has letter G, so it's going to be Marcin G. Paprzycki, not Marcin Paprzycki. Because Marcin Paprzycki already has no free connectivity. The one that has connectivity, that you can connect with me, is Marcin G. Paprzycki. G stands for giant. So Marcin Giant Paprzycki. Here is my website and the institute. Here is my Google Scholar profile. And here I am on LinkedIn. You can find me there. Okay? So this is all that I wanted to share with you once more. Please come to D108 at 1:30 plus if you are interested in robotic process automation and Giant in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to call upon the stage from Dr. Pradeep, sir. We have a huge round of applause.
Okay, so I'm disconnecting myself. I will be here till tonight because at night I'm flying to Moscow. Yeah, to meet with President Putin and talk about that.
Okay, moving on further, we have a lecture of it's a smart book. Hello. Hello. Well, thank you everyone and sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah. He is presently the director of the talent development at Taxus Instruments, India. He is also an adjunct faculty at IIT Madras. Before joining TIQ 2002.
grid, right? And stage. That is what we have to ask ourselves. What goes into this situation? So you may have heard that TI, the first Jack Kilby working at TI invented the integrated circuit in 1958. Recently, we celebrated in 65. Already we had Moore's law. Heard of Moore's law? Right? Gordon Moore's law. So in just a span of 7 years, right? Already it had been noticed that the rate at which the transistors were becoming smaller in size was resulting in doubling of the device density. Right? So today, already we have devices which have billions of transistors in it. And frankly, it's very hard for people to think about what to do with so many of the transistors. You know, how can we provide a meaningful function using those many transistors? It's not an easy thing to think of. So there are the semiconductor industry has led to this particular revolution that we see. So three things have happened. I think the previous speaker also mentioned sensors. So I call these the three I's: instrumentation, then interconnectivity, and intelligence. These three are what has led to this smart world. A lot of instrumentation with sensors. So today, virtually anything can be measured and logged. So tiny sensors may be sitting all over the place and logging that information and uploading it to the cloud. And all the data may be getting analyzed, right, by some smart, and intelligent software which runs on very high-end processors. To build either those sensors or the high-end processors, we need very high performance integrated circuits. And what is in the middle? The interconnectivity. So even that owes its origin to the semiconductor field. So that is where the origin is. I think we heard this from our previous speakers as well. The reason I am mentioning this is, as students who will be graduating pretty soon, you may be thinking of, what are some of the opportunities I have. See, when I was a student like you, the integrated circuit industry was just relatively new. 5-micron technology was state of the art in the 80s. That is when I was a student. And we saw a lot of scaling happening. And today we are operating at 18 nanometers, or I think there are some which are even lower. IBM, I think, has 7 nanometers. So we saw a huge, unprecedented sort of a growth in the semiconductor industry, and that provided a lot of jobs. But what about students who are graduating now? What will you, be doing? The chances are that the semiconductor industry which was spurred by technology, right? This scaling of transistor sizes, right? We all accept that that is not likely to happen. That is unlikely to happen. Right? So where are the opportunities for innovation? And the common answer that you will hear is that it is going to be in terms of systems. I'm sure you have heard the word systems on a chip. So today, people integrate available IP. You, as students, are unlikely to be designing new microprocessors. You are unlikely to be designing new digital signal processors. You are unlikely to be designing new microcontrollers. But you are very likely to be integrating what is already available and building smart applications. And that is the reason why you need to look at the world around you and see what are the problems I can solve with this. So I was in the university relations program for many years at TI. So at that time, TI wanted to sort of popularize system design in the universities. So there was a contest that we decided to introduce in the universities. I'm talking about almost 8 years ago. It was called the TI India analog design contest. So TI is a sort of major force in analog. See, we were number one in the DSP area. And then, slowly we realized that whenever we were selling a DSP to a customer, somebody else was coming and selling a lot of analog products and making a lot of money. So TI woke up and decided to focus on analog in a big way. And in the last about 10 to 15 years, TI has invested a heavy amount in the growth for analog. Because analog is used in complete system design. Whether you are data converters, op-amps, power management, isolation, all these are aspects of analog signal processing that happens in the systems, in the digital systems. So, believe it or not, the more digital you sell to the customer, the more analog market share that gets created. So it may sound a little bit strange, but that is how it is. Right? So we have invested quite a bit in analog, and definitely that is one area there is still a lot of scope for innovation. So the digital, right? Because of all the R&D that has happened in the past maybe 25 to 30 years, I guess they have squeezed out all the juice there is, whether it is in terms of area, whether it is in terms of performance or power. We have saturated ourselves in terms of how optimal we can do our design. But that may not be the case in analog. So those of you who are having your hopes to get into the VLSI industry, analog is a place where you need to look at. So there is still a lot of work to be done. Right? I'm not trying to say that all the work is already done and there is no scope in VLSI. Definitely, jobs will continue to exist in the space of VLSI, whether it is verification, right? Whether it is in the area of testing, validation. These are creating a lot of jobs. Design. See, our students, many of you are want to build products that will sell in India, these are the places where you need to be looking at. Right? If you want to build a new system on a chip, right, you must have the right application to target. Right? So look around you and see all the problems that there are, right? And what you can do about it. Right? So we need to improve resource utilization. Right? When I say resource, I mean things like electricity, I mean things like water, I mean things like time. Right? All these are resources. So the good thing is we are able to measure all these things, the amount of water that we are consuming. Many of you may be living in apartment complexes. It's very common in Bangalore, right? I'm sure it's common here as well. And one bad thing is, in apartment complexes, there is no easy way to measure the amount of water consumption of every household. And as a result, there is a considerable amount of wastage of water. But imagine if you came up with a water meter, a very simple application which is accurate, which is reasonably accurate, I would not say very accurate, which is reasonably accurate but is affordable by people. Then apartment complexes will buy them and install them. Because every apartment complex is interested in conserving water, but the problem is whether they can measure it effectively. Right? So we need to be able to measure, and fortunately we have sensors. Right? We need to analyze the data. Right? Imagine if we had the information about who is using how much of water for an entire month or for an entire year or for several years, then we can go and analyze that data. Right? And what do we do with that analysis? We can give recommendations to people. We can send polite letters to them saying, you may be, not being very prudent in terms of the way you are using your resources. So we can give them some recommendations. The same is true for electricity. Right? But if that doesn't work, we may even be able to set policies and enforce. Right? So that is what we are getting into. And these are some of the new applications that will come up. Garbage collection. Right? In Bangalore, that's a big problem. Right? I'm sure it's the same in any big city, whether it is Bangalore, Delhi. Right? But sooner or later, solutions like this will come into the market, where I can keep track of who is doing good, garbage segregation, and who is not. And then we'll be possibly able to solve this problem together. Right? So the things that we talk about, reduce, recycle, and reuse, that will make sense when we can keep track of the utilization. TI is also looking at, like many other companies out there, for new opportunities. And these are some of the new opportunities that are coming in. The automotive is a big market sector. For those of you who are looking at jobs and so on, please, be aware. Automotive is a major market segment. Right? Smart buildings, another big market segment. Energy, factory automation, and water conservation, all these are areas where you will see considerable amount of, and all of these have been empowered by the three things which I mentioned, computers which are able to do a lot of data processing, high-speed interconnect, right, and sensors. So these have spurred. People are very hopeful about the Internet of Things. Right? and TI also has many solutions for the Internet of Things. Right? So when you look at Internet of Things, there are sort of three levels at which we talk about. One is low-end devices. Right? There may be a sort of simple device that you can wear on your body. Maybe you want to measure how much you walk every day or something like that, Fitbit. So those are one extreme case of IoT device. They have to be very low power. They have to be very, it's a very cost sensitive market. At the second level, there is data aggregation, right? And uploading that information to the cloud. So we need solutions for that level. And ultimately, of course, data processing that happens, what we call as analytics, data analytics that happens. There you need very high-end processors. Right? So TI has a number of embedded processors for each of these applications. Right? And those of us who have been working in the area of VLSI, right? Here is a simple graph that shows, what has happened to power dissipation. See, we all are very proud of the way optimization has been done in VLSI. Right? On the x-axis, you see the year of introduction of ICs. On the y-axis, you see what is called as the power performance ratio. Right? So how much power do you need to deliver a certain performance, like 1 million multiply accumulate, right? So how many milliwatts of power are required to deliver a performance of 1 million multiply accumulate? You will realize that there is an exponential improvement. See, the curve is a logarithmic curve, right? So it's a straight line curve in the log, semi-log plot, which means actually it's an exponential improvement that has happened, right? So the power dissipation has been brought down exponentially over years, right? The other curve which I have shown there, it refers to the amount of energy we can scavenge out of things like maybe sound, things like vibrations and so on. Right? See, you may have heard about energy harvesting. Right? So a very small amount of energy can be harvested, right, from sound waves and so on. And the amount of energy that we get out of this harvested solution used to be so small that it was not making any sense. But now you can see that we are in an era where the amount of harvested energy can actually run a solution. So slowly, it is even possible to think about a mobile phone which will run on a solar battery. There are experiments already in that direction. Right? So a day will come where your cell phones will possibly run out of sun. Right? It will run out of solar energy. Right? So we are getting there. Right? We have got to that level of energy efficiency. Right? And I have shown more curves from TI, some of the processors that are there. Right? So our MSP430, which is a 16-bit microcontroller, is an industry standard for low power. Right? I'm sure many of you may have used that as well. Right? So it's a industry standard in terms of power dissipation. Right? So when I bring this slide, I always tell people, right, all of you are doing your projects. Right? I'm sure you are writing software. Right? And I keep telling these teachers also who teach these classes like microcontrollers and microprocessors to make students aware of what the processor is capable of doing. Right? See, when I learned microprocessors way back in the 80s, the Intel 1985, right? Then I was told how to write delay loops. Right? We read about how to set up delay loops. Right? I'm sure you also learned that. Right? How did you do that? You set up a for loop, right? And you do nothing in that loop, right? Just increment some counter and till it becomes 0. Right? But if you do that in today's microcontrollers, that is not the right solution. Right? Because all along you are keeping the processor in the active mode. Right? The modern day microprocessors and microcontrollers, which are used in embedded applications like IoT, they should not remain in the active mode, because that is when they consume a lot of power. Right? So the way programming should be done today is, you keep the processor in the sleep mode all the time. See, the processor is almost always sleeping. And when an event occurs, right, the event could be, somebody touches the screen, right, or a sound is heard or something like that. And that is when the processor wakes up and quickly does something and goes back to sleep. Right? So if you are going to write the programming in the traditional way, the old-fashioned way, then you are not going to be utilizing all the capabilities that the processor provides. So that is something that I want to communicate to all of you. Please be aware of the what are the the possibilities that the processor is providing. And there are many others. See, TI also introduced a number of processors for the IoT market, including this C322 and so on. Right? We had a whole range of products. Right? I will not give too much information, but I wanted to flash this. These slides are with the organizers. You are welcome to take a look at them. And TI has a very good university program. Right? We have. If you are a student who wants to build electronics, right, and you are interested in getting some free samples, so TI has an excellent free sampling program. All you have to do is go to our website, right, ti.com, www.ti.com. How easy is that? All of you can remember, right? Go there, and you will find, a sample and buy. You don't have to buy. You are a student. You don't need to buy, right? But you can certainly sample it. Right? You can go and say, hey, I need this MSP430 microprocessor. Ravikumar told us about MSP430 or some other processor, and okay. So depending on what samples you need, you can order and try to give your university address, so that the processors, the samples will come to you. Right? Don't give your home address. Sometimes they may not deliver to the home address, etc. If you give your university address, the samples will come to you within a week. So it's a good way to get exposed to some of the modern technology and start doing some systems level work. Right? So the same is true for communication. I mentioned our processors. The same is true for communication. You can see that the current consumption, right, has come down year after year, right? And there are so many of these low power protocols that have been set up. The Bluetooth, low energy, Zigbee, and so there are a lot of new protocols out there, right? And the same is true for sensors. They have all become low power sensors. Right? And you can measure just about anything today, right? Whether it is pressure, whether it is the amount of illumination, right? So a lot of interesting projects can be done, right? And so I was telling you about how I introduced that, the contest many years. Right? At that time, there was a lot of speculation. I was a little worried whether I'll get enough entries, right? Because the rule of that contest was that every university that participates must submit at least 3 entries, right? And I personally traveled to a lot of places to popularize it, and we made it a mandatory requirement that 3 projects must come from. So the first year I managed to get 10 colleges to take part, right? And I was very impressed with the kind of projects that they came up with. Right? Some of them were trying to help the blind people. Some of them were trying to look at some applications of the digital signal processing in communications, medical signal processing, and so on. Right? But the next year, when we announced that same contest, the number of entries, shot up like crazy. Right? From 10, we had already gone to close to 100. Right? And it became an exponential growth. So a lot of universities started taking part. And today also it continues to be a very important contest, and you are welcome to take part in that contest as well. Right? So smart sensors, right? What is a smart sensor? See, if you are able to integrate a little bit of processing capability into the sensor, it becomes what is called as a smart sensor. And TI has introduced that and made it possible for people to sort of build IoT applications very easily. Right? So here is a innovation in smart sensors. So you may have seen water being wasted in a number of places, right? So one way to try and reduce this kind of wastage will be to first detect it, right? And today, ultrasonic sensing technology is available, right, in smart sensors to detect this kind of the similar thing is about water flow, gas flow, and so on. Right? Today, imagine if we get to the stage where cylinders will be removed. Right? I think we have a project going on today on an experimental stage where they are saying that LPG will not be supplied in cylinders, but it will be supplied through gas pipes. Right? So then we need to have ways and means to measure the consumption accurately. So today, new technologies will be required, right? So you have heard it from me. Make sure that you grab these opportunities to do the right projects. Another sort of an interesting area is the millimeter wave sensor. So this is a project that TI is pursuing in a big way because I told you, right, automotive is a big thing. You may have heard about things like automotive driver assistance, right? You may have heard about the self-driven car and so on, right? Whether all these things will come to India in a reasonable time, I don't know. But they believe that by 2030 or so, virtually most of the cars in some of the Western countries will be self-driven and so on, right? So if you are looking at that space of automotive market, you will need accurate sensors, right? Which have very small antennas and which will have a very high resolution, which will occupy in that, which operate in that region, 30 to 300 gigahertz. That's why they are called millimeter wave sensors. And they are also going to be used not only in automotives but also in factories, right? And I'll show you where they may be sort of useful. So they are called smart factories, right? So in a smart factory, there may be robots that carry material from one place to another, right? And they may be moving around, and they may be moving around in the same space where humans are also moving around. See, you may have seen that companies like Amazon, right? They use robots to go and pick up the materials that are ordered by people, right? So there are a lot of robots moving around, and human beings are also moving in the same space. So you don't want any accidents to happen and stuff like that, right? So we need very smart sensors which can sense, occlusions or any other disturbance that may be coming, and then stop the vehicle and things like that. So we need those kind of applications. Right? And another big area will be smart homes and buildings. This is another big area where TI is focusing, right? Whether it is security, whether it is safety, video surveillance, high volume AC, elevator control, all these are applications that will be useful even in India, right? Because we are also, we are becoming more and more urban. I hope you understand that. See, most people want to now live in cities because it is the cities provide a lot of convenience. People want to move into cities, so there are skyscrapers, right? So we need to make these buildings secure. We need to make them safe, and for that purpose, we will need all these solutions that we are talking about, right? So India will be a big market for these, and of course, there are also some innovations like smart glass, right? The smart glass which I have shown there, that's an innovation from PI, right? That will look at the outside ambient light, and it will become either dark or light depending on the amount of light that is coming in, right? So those kind of innovations are also possible, right? Same thing about smart grid. Smart meters will make a big difference, right? See, I mentioned how we need to be able to measure the amount of electricity that we use, right? Because the amount of charge that you pay to the supply company, the amount of bill that you pay to the supply company is not a linear function of the amount of electricity that you use, right? So there are several slabs, right? So imagine if I can measure my utilization of electricity and make sure that I can reduce my electricity bill accordingly, right? So that is the power of data analytics that you can get access to today, right? Similarly, maybe there is no need for a person to come and visit your apartment to actually take meter readings, right? A smart meter can upload that information directly, right? And this supply company can actually send you some suggestions on what you can do to reduce your supply requirement, right? So that is another area where we are headed. So I'm trying to give you some thoughts that you can go back with and work on projects, whether it is hardware project, software project. Right? Similarly, disaster management is a big thing. So here is a picture from I think Japan, where there was a big tsunami, and after that, here is a picture taken from there. So in these, they started realizing that maybe these cars, they have battery in them, right? They are electric vehicles. They have battery in them, so they can possibly act as a temporary power supply source in an area where there has been a disaster. So that's another way a smart grid can be quickly constructed, right? So we are moving towards these kind of smart systems, and here is a SWOT analysis. SWOT means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the strength is, as I mentioned in the very beginning, the semiconductor technology has matured, right? So that is definitely a very big strength. The weaknesses today are quality and reliability are still big weaknesses, because see, if it's a mobile phone, right, most of you will not use a mobile phone for more than a couple of years, right? You will change the model because something new would have come, you will buy, right? But that is not the case for these IoT devices. That is not the case for automotives, right? Will you throw away your car every 2 years? No. Right? The cars will be used for many years, tens of years, right? Maybe more, 30 years maybe. Right? Similarly, the IoT, if you are going to bury under the earth, certain small sensors for smart agriculture, you are not going to dig them open and change them every 2 years. No. Right? So they have to remain reliable. They have to last for many years. Right? So that is currently the weakness. And that is where semiconductor solutions have to evolve. There are also a lot of opportunities, right? As I mentioned to you, we are moving towards a more and more urban society, and as a result, there are a lot of opportunities for people like you. I hope at the end of my talk, the main message that you will all remember is that, there are a lot of opportunities out there, right? So I can make a difference, right? And the threats, unfortunately, are also there, right? See, the previous speaker was talking about some robot process automation, and I was thinking in my mind that can be used to launch a denial of service attack. Right? Imagine a robot which goes and creates fictitious orders for Amazon or something like that, and then cancels all those orders systematically, right? So nothing happened, no transactions ever took place, but you have brought down the Amazon network, right? So that is an example of a threat that can exist, right? And robots may also take away a little bit of AI and robotics. They may also take away a little bit of employment opportunities, but they may also create new employment opportunities. Right? So I end with this talk by talking a little bit about the curriculum, right? So I often tell both. I know there are a lot of teachers here and also some students, right? See, new things are always coming in, right? And it is not easy to keep the curriculum, up to date with everything out there. There are new protocols coming in all the time, new processors coming in all the time, right? New technologies getting introduced all the time, right? So it's not easy to keep pace, right? Like the previous speaker mentioned, I work very hard to introduce a new processor in the market, which will take me 5 years to set it up, and then by the time completely new processor comes in. Right? So we have to be smart about how we study. Right? The good thing is a lot of information is already available. You are very lucky because the best professors have made their lecture materials available to you. Right? Today, if you want to learn something, a vast wealth of information is available to you. Right? So please make use of that, right? And become smart in the way you pick up topics. Right? And also, there may be opportunities in your early part of your curriculum, right? Maybe in the first year or something like that. Make the students aware, right? One constant complaint I have about universities is, in the first year, they usually don't focus on the technologies. They instead focus on the basic sciences like physics, chemistry, math, and somehow the student gets a little bit frustrated maybe. I wanted to become an electronics engineer, but I am just being told about physics, chemistry, and math, right? So in the first year, you want to capture the imagination of the students by talking to them about what are the possibilities, and also making them aware of what are some of the threats that may be there, right? Because they have to be ready when they come out to face the world in which they are going to live. Right? So that is basically what I had in mind, right? So there are a lot of opportunities as far as jobs are concerned. So there is a triangle that I have shown here. At the top is the pyramid is all the hardware design and test. At the next level there is the software design and test. And finally there is a lot of jobs in support and maintenance, right? There may be a threat from AI, and some of the jobs in support and maintenance may go away, but things keep changing all the time, and this is where it might look like, right? So I will end here, and if time permits, and if you still have the energy, feel free to ask me questions, and I'll be more than happy to take them, or meet me later. I'm going to be here today. Tomorrow I'm teaching a full day class. Right, I'm teaching a class on Verilog, and that will be, I don't know exactly the room number. Professor Shah knows where that room is, right? So you are welcome to take the class tomorrow, right? I think, I don't think there is any charge for that class. Right? Faculty are welcome. I think some faculty are already enrolled, so please feel free to come. Right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I request you to stay back. Sorry, I request Pradeep, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor Galgotias, to come up and present the momentum. Can we have a round of applause for them? Thank you, sir. So here we are done with the session, and we'll be moving for lunch. Before that, I would like to announce the presentation with the tracks and timings with the room numbers. So the track SD1 is room number 104, SD2 is room number 107, SD3 is room number 109, SD4 is room number 203, SD5 is room number 109 B block, SDSA and SDSB is room number 204. This is the slot for 1:30. And the slot for 3 o'clock is SD6 is room number 104, SD7 room number 107, SD8 room number 109, SD9 room number 203, SD10 room number 109, SDSC is 204. Thank you.